Hi guys, welcome back to another video on this channel. Today, I'm back, and it's not that I was gone, but I felt like in the last couple of videos my mind was somewhere else. Whenever I'm about to finish a project, be it for Nexttut or for any other client, I always feel like I'm just like super focused on delivering on the deadline, on the final product, and I just like I can't really focus, and it's very difficult for me to organize a lot of things. Probably happens to a lot of you as well. Like you're like what's the word? You have like tunnel vision, right? So in this case, I was tunnel vision with finishing the hard surface course, making sure that it was super cool and super good for you. Which, by the way, it's going to be released very soon. And yeah, so but now we're back, and I can continue doing great stuff, and I think we can have some fun. So there's been a lot of comments and a lot of questions in the last couple of days. I want to address some real quick, and then we'll move on. The lighthouse, we're still doing that. We'll probably do that on Friday and this weekend. We're probably gonna have like videos for the lighthouse. Someone else asked, what webcam am I using? I'm not using webcam. Before switching to this one that we have right here, I was using this one, which is the Canon T3, very old model. It's not even the like T3i, it's the T3, like the original T3. So this was like, I don't know, like 10 years old or something probably. Yeah, that's Thor barking on the window. So that was the one that was using. I'm now using the M50 Mark II, which is a newer model, and this is allowing me to have this sort of like setup and quality. I've been tweaking and I've been playing around with lights so much, like so much. I even got like a super powerful light bulb here, a super powerful light bulb here. I can't even look at them like directly because I get like blinded. But this is like the best possible one. I think now the image should be a little bit less noisy than what we had the last couple of days. So you guys let me know if that's good. Other than that, yeah, I think that those like pretty much the main questions. Some of you really like the video from last time, the topology one. A small little technique, but if you haven't checked it out, that was for Monday. And yeah, let's get to it. Well, not that one. There we go. So today I want to jump into ZBRUSH because I've been doing so much Maya lately that I feel like I need to do a little bit of sculpting. So I'm gonna do a little thing here. We're gonna be talking about something which is art styles, right? There's this big question. What's this? Oh, new version. I haven't upgraded. See, I haven't used ZBRUSH in so long that there's a new version and I don't even know. So, whenever we're talking about art and about the digital world, I feel like we have several styles, right? Like art styles. And a lot of people tend to gravitate to one particular style. There's other artists that are very good at all of them or really proficient at several of them. But normally, like, someone's gonna be, like, gravitating towards one. If you take a look at my portfolio, which, again, I haven't uploaded and I updated, and I should update real now, or, like, quite soon, I have this sort of, like, realistic, stylized approach to things, and I've been primarily like influenced by Blizzard cinematics. So those were the things that got me into the industry. Those were the things that I saw, and I was like, I remember seeing the Lich King cinematic back in 2010, and I was like, I want to do this. I want to know how to do that. And I've been doing a lot of research throughout the years about like the Blizzard style, and what they do is they create realistic, and that's what they call it, realistic stylized approach. So you're gonna see characters that look real, that they look like they could live in our world, but they're slightly exaggerated in certain things, slightly exaggerated in certain elements that make them pop out even more, right? So that's the style I like, and usually my stuff, whenever I do like my personal stuff, they tend to go towards this sort of style. We have, of course, the realistic approach. For instance, I think Last of Us is probably the closest we're gonna get to realism, or one of the closest realistic things that we have. So Last of Us is like totally realistic. Again, a little bit stylized. Everything's stylized all the time. Like whenever there's art direction, there's always gonna be like a cinch of stylization. But that's another style. And lately, there's been this resurgence in the sort of like cartoony. I like to call it cartoony stylized. It's just so broad that's very difficult to really encompass it in one specific thing. I need to get rid of the shadows. Maybe the shadows are a little bit too much. Anyway, so if you guys haven't seen this show, I know League of Legends gets a bad reputation. I played for a long time, but not anymore. The show is a masterpiece, guys. It's a masterpiece of everything: animation, graphic design, lightning. Like it's you can learn so much from studying this thing, plus enjoying it, because even the story is just so good. So this is a style that I really like. And one of the cool things about this style is that there's not a lot of like material information in the materials themselves. They tend to look very flat, right? it's more about hand painted textures or specific choices in the lights, like very sharp lines, very smooth effects that allow you to have this super amazing things. So we're going to be doing one of these guys in just a second. I just want to mention another one, which again, Fortnite, for instance, the Fortnite Effect. This is what I would consider more like cartoonish style, right? Like a cartoon style. And the difference between Fortnite and the one that we just saw, Arcane, is the fact that in Fortnite, they do use materials. So you're going to see like metallic things, metallic shaders, whereas in Arcane, most of those metallic things, they would paint, right? Like this armor pieces that it has right there, all of those things would be like painted or stylized in a way that makes them look like metal without actually being metal. Now, a lot of the tricks for stylized thing come from the understanding of forms, right? So for instance, if we go to planes of the face, we've talked about this before. The planes of the face that we would normally use for like a realistic sculpture, such as this one, are going to be the exact same ones that we're going to be using for a stylized approach. The only difference is that we're going to be exaggerating them and like turning the volume up for the elements. So without more like blabbering and theory, let's jump onto the exercise. And I want to do a quick sculpt right here. I want to do a sculpture, and we're going to do a skull. So we've done skulls in the past, but this one is going to be a little bit more stylized, okay? So we're going to go more into the stylized effect. I'm going to show you a couple of brushes and techniques that you can use to create your own stuff. So sorry if my face is not like completely like focused or something, because I'm looking down here on the tablet. So the first thing you need to do whenever you're doing a stylized thing is define proportions, right? So the proportions of your character are probably going to be the nicest and the most important things in the creation of any sort of asset. So I'm going to go with like a very narrow, very narrow like upper jaw, and then like a huge skull right here. Could be like an alien skull even. Like we don't have to do a human skull. We're just going for the style. Let me turn off perspective right there. And now I'm going to use my clay buildup to start building up like the main shapes. So we're going to go for like the eyes. And this is a very common thing. Like the eyes should be kind of like sad eyes, right? We know that from our traditional like human skull that eyes are not like angry. They're more like sad. We also have our nose right here, the nose cavity, which I'm also going to smooth out. And then we start having some basic shapes, very important shapes in the skull, such as the zygomatic arch, right? Which is like a little bone right here. Well, it's a zygomatic bone, but there's a zygomatic arc on the. I always say arch. I think it's arc. Zygomatic arc right here, which is gonna push the element up. We also have the division of the frontal bone, which is this one right here. The frontal bone from the temporal bone, which is this one right here. So I'm just like adding where I know things are going to be. We also have, of course, the eyebrows. So let's just like very quickly add the eyebrow section right there. We can smooth all of those out. And then down here, of course, we're going to have the going down into the teeth, right? So this sort of thing. There we go. So yeah, this is definitely going to be like an alien kind of thing. Now I'm going to jump into train dynamic, and what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start flattening and creating some nice contrast on the shapes. Because one of the things that tends to happen in ZBRUSH quite a bit, especially thanks to the smooth brush, is we get this very, well, smooth effect, this very like soft, natural effect. And sometimes we want to go for this more like jaggedy, segmenty element, right? So let's do something like this. There we go. And of course, we need to remove all of the extra volume. So I'm going to go back with clay buildup. I'm going to remove all of the extra volume that we have right here. Like all of this guys right here. So that we can create the shape of our skull. We're not going for like anatomical precision, of course, because this is a stylized effect. Now I'm going to start carving in here. Again, there's usually a depression where the temporal bone is or the frontal bone is. All of this area, there's usually like a hole. There's actually like a hole right here. Well, not right there, but like down here, where you separate the jawline from the temporal bone. Now we can actually create the hole, but again, for simplicity's sake, for this small example that we're doing tonight or today, depending on what time of the day you're watching this video, we're gonna keep it simple. So we're just gonna do something like this. There we go. So now, as you can see, we got this very, very nice shape. Didn't took us that long. And now we can start playing around with what we've mentioned before, which is the exaggeration of things. So for instance, let me push this back. There we go. And what we can start doing is we can start pushing certain things of the skull that I think are going to be important. For instance, let's increase this effect right here, where the frontal bone and the temporal bone joins together. There's usually like a little ridge. So let's really exaggerate that ridge. So I'm just going to start adding a little bit more detail here and removing a little bit of detail over here. So kind of like, again, turning to 11, like really increasing the volume here on the details, right? Let's keep them round. And of course, this is going to make things look a little bit more cartoonish because we're, again, stylizing them. But this should give us a very, very nice, clean look. There we go. We're in Dynamesh, so let's Dynamesh to clean this up. And again, Trim Dynamic is going to be our friend because Trim Dynamic will allow us to rebuild or reconstruct all of the planes of the face that we're losing whenever we're doing this sort of like organic sculpting with our clay buildup. See, not bad. There's usually a little bit of volume here, so I'm going to add the volume back like this. And then again with Trim Dynamic, let's really, really bring this back. There we go. Now, usually the nose, it's not as flat, right? We have a little bit of movement. So I'm going to push this in. And maybe a little bit out like this. I don't want this skull to be angry, though. Angry is like very, very edgy, very cliche. So let's bring it back down. So again, we can keep the stylization, as you can see there. Like we can keep this like intense and exaggerated without actually going too much in there. Let's rebuild the planes of the nose. And now the zygomatic arc, again, is one of those things that we really need to push. So let's exaggerate it. Let's really like block it in here, Dynamesh. And then with Trim Dynamic, we can again start cleaning it up. We could also go here on the eye sockets and create like a nice line right there so that the eye sockets are a little bit cleaner. So we can kind of see like a hole, like a division on where the eyes would be if we had eyes. See, so just a small little line right there, cleaning the shapes. Now, as you can see, I'm kind of modeling everything as a single piece. Like I mentioned that we were gonna have like a small jaw, which is this one right here. But we could separate it, right? In this case, I don't want to separate it. So if this was going to be like a single piece, we would need to sculpt like a little hole right there. Let's Dynamesh. There we go. So that's going to be, although these are going to be like the holes before we have the teeth, right? And with my Damien Standard, I'm gonna move this thing right here. So kind of like divide them. It's like we're suggesting that there's a division without actually dividing it. See? Pretty cool, right? Now let's add one line where the teeth are gonna be. That's good. And again, we can use our Damien Standard to really add a line right there that's gonna make this. Again, we're gonna divide the whole thing. I'm gonna push the mouth forward a little bit more. Usually the mouth creates like a protrusion going up like this. And this is what we're going to be able to have. Let's move this thing. And again, play around with the proportions. Maybe this is like a narrow nose, big nose. Like you can change those kind of things with these things right here. There we go. It's looking good. So we're just going to keep pushing here. Let's add a little bit of like the division there on the nose, very common. And now we can increase the Dynamesh. As you can see, whenever I'm working with any kind of thing, I don't like to jump like higher on the subdivision level until I really need the detail. In this case, since I want to start working on some of the teeth and stuff, we definitely need some more. So I'm going to go Geometry, Dynamesh. Let's go like double Dynamesh. There we go. So now we should be able to start working on the teeth. So I know we have like our frontal teeth right here, and then the side teeth, and then the fangs, and then we're gonna have some like molars right there. And then what I'm gonna do is with my trim dynamic, I'm just gonna flatten them all out. See? So we create like the flat surface of the teeth. Now, of course, we could skip or sculpt the teeth separately. That's also a nice option. We can definitely increase the resolution. But right now, I just wanna like sketch them out. And we're gonna do something similar down here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's the trim dynamic. Flatten them out. And now we're gonna start building a little bit of the connections, right? So we know that tooth has this sort of like canal that they connect to. And that's gonna make our skull look a little bit more realistic without going into the realism or realistic style, but just, you know, it's giving it the effect that we're going for. Let me go with my Damien standard again. And start building them. They don't need to be perfect. I mean, if this is like an undead, like a sort of an undead character that's going to be attacking our main hero in like a video game or something, this is perfectly fine. So yeah, you imagine this guy like attacking you in the game, right? So that's kind of what we're going for here. Now let's keep on exaggerating things, because again, like the upper part, like if I like show or hide the lower part, that looks stylized. But then if we invert this, that looks a little bit more realistic. So let's do a little bit of stylization down here. I'm gonna start by changing the jaw shape. So I'm gonna go with my move brush, really big move brush. Let's mask out the teeth so we protect them for now. And let's do some a little bit of a stylization. There we go. See how that immediately, like the shape of the jaw, even though we were still keeping it narrow, because I'm not gonna really push it like up or back. That's really giving it a sort of like cartoonish, creepy vibe. Now again, let's Dynamesh first. Let's protect the teeth again, and I want to push this guy like a little bit in, because usually the bone. Now we're gonna create a little bit of a ridge right there. There we go. So as you can see, stylization, or one of the principles of stylization, is exaggeration. We're gonna be exaggerating certain things or certain elements in our character in this case to make it look a lot cooler than what a normal skull would be. Which a normal skull is quite cool. Like if you can sculpt like a realistic natural sculpt, that's pretty cool as well. However, in certain games, in certain media, as we've talked before, creating this sort of shapes, it's also really, really nice. Let's go back to the trim dynamic, and let's start using a little bit of what's the word? Yeah, trim dynamic to give it this sort of like faceted effect, faceted look to the whole thing, right? To our skull. And we can keep pushing some of the detail here to really make it seem like, even though we're not separating or splitting this guy into two pieces, we're still gonna have that. And the reason why it's important to have this sort of like division is because eventually when we were like to render, we're gonna get a little bit of a shadow there, and that shadow is gonna be really, really helpful for the whole thing. So yeah, I like that. Let's just adjust the proportions a little bit. I'm gonna again exaggerate the shape of the mouth. Give it this very round, nice effect. There we go. And now we can start working on some of the specific details. So for instance, with the Damien standard, now I can start carving in some of the lines that I would have right here. Of course, smooth them out. And those lines right there are gonna allow me to really, really show or mark where the main like elements of my object is gonna be. There's usually like a union point right about here. So I'm gonna use it as a division point. There we go. And one of the things that I always like to do whenever I'm doing these sort of things is I like to think about the story. Like, why do we have a floating skull? Like, is it because of dark magic? Is it because of a curse? Is it because of necromancer? Like, always thinking about those stories. Or I also like to think about, okay, how is this thing gonna attack me in game? Like, what am I expecting to be facing when facing this guy right here? Like, am I going to have to dodge? Am I gonna have to shoot it with an arrow? Like, thinking about those things allows you to, I don't know, get a little bit more inspired on the kind of things that you're gonna be sculpting on your character. And I think that's also super important, because being motivated by doing something you like and being invested in something that you like is always a plus when designing, because you're gonna get more inspired. You're gonna get some like creative ideas that might allow you to yeah, just build on top of things that look a lot better. Now, as you can see right here, the teeth look horrible, right? And the reason why they look horrible is because they're all in the same position. So I'm gonna show you one quick trick. So if you've been watching this for the past 20 minutes, then congratulations, you're about to see a really nice trick that I think you're gonna really like. So I'm gonna grab all of the teeth right here. I'm gonna mask them. All of the teeth. Mask. There we go. Mask right there. And now I'm going to press Ctrl W. What that will do is it will change the polygroup of that area into a different polygroup. And polygroups are, for those of you that don't know about this, they're a way in which you can organize like different sections of a single subtool. Because of course we can have multiple subtools right here, but you usually can only modify or have one organization inside of the element. So polygroups are going to allow you to have several sections without having to have several subtools. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have a separate subtool by going split and hitting group split. And what group split will do, as you can see here, it just removed the teeth from the skull and it created a new subtool, which is this one right here. Now, on the skull, I'm going to dynamesh again, and you can see that the hole gets closed, which is perfect. Let me just trim this a little bit. We're going to rebuild this shortly. There we go. And now we're going to go here to the teeth. I'm going to press shift and click on the little eye icon so that all of the other subtools get like eliminated or just hidden. And then if I go dynamesh here, unfortunately, we're not going to have enough, what's the word? We're not going to have enough resolution. You're going to see that we get something, oh, actually it did something nicer. So yeah, but what I want to do here is I actually don't want to dynamesh yet. I want to create like each separate teeth. So I'm gonna use something called I'm gonna use the mask. Let's keep it simple. I'm just gonna use the mask. I'm gonna start masking from back to the front. So I'm gonna select those guys, and I'm gonna press again Control W. So that's a new polygroup. And then I'm gonna mask this new guys, Control W. Mask this new guys, Control W. Mask this new guys, Control W, and finally mask this guys and Control W. So now, as you can see, we have the teeth separated into their own polygroups. There might be a couple of polygroups here and there that are not like perfectly like grouped. Don't worry. Now, I'm gonna go I'm gonna hit Control Shift to go into my selection element. I'm gonna go select lasso, and I want to select only the teeth on the bottom, like this, or the top. Doesn't really matter. And I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna say Control, and then Control W, Control, Control W, Control, Control W. Control, Control W, Control, Control W. And as you can see now, we have, again, separated the teeth into different elements, right? So now, if I were to press Control Shift Click, each teeth has a different polygroup, which again, is close to what I'm going for. Finally, I need to take care of this guys in the middle. So I'm going to press Control Shift Click. Again, I'm going to eliminate symmetry, mask one side and hit Control W. And then do the same thing on this side, so symmetry, and then Control W. There we go. So now, as you can see, each individual teeth has a different polygroup, or a section right now. There's, not even teeth right now. This is just one way to do this thing, by the way. You can create a new sphere and just duplicate it a bunch of times and sculpt each one. But here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edge Loop, and I'm going to use this option called Panel Loops. And what Panel Loops will do, as you can see, it will create a new group or a new like extrusion for each individual like teeth that I just created there. Now I'm gonna definitely increase the thickness, and I'm gonna move the where is it? No, that's fine. Panel loops. There we go. That's I mean, that's a little bit too much. Panel loops. There we go. That's a lot better. As you can see, we get this sort of thing, which works perfectly. So now that we have that, I'm gonna go back to polygroups, and now I'm gonna hit auto groups. And now again, each individual polygon will get its own like effect. And now what we can do is we can actually smooth everything out, and you can see it's like if we've created like each individual section of the teeth, right? Except for the molars where I messed up, but that's fine. We can just delete those ones and they won't be missed. So yeah, I'm not gonna smooth that yet though. I'm just gonna say group all the groups to get like an individual group everywhere. I think I'm actually gonna inflate them a little bit. So let's turn back symmetry to give them a little bit more thickness, like more oomph. Now I definitely want to delete this once on the back, so I'm gonna Control Shift click, Control Shift and tap, invert the selection, and then Control Shift Alt to delete that one. I'm gonna go Geometry, Modify Topology, and Delete Hidden. Now that those are deleted, we can go into Dynamesh, but there's one very important thing that we need to do. We need to turn on this thing called groups. So that what that will do is when Dynamesh has groups turned on, you're not gonna get what's the word? You're not gonna get like they're not gonna be joined together. Each individual group would be Dynamesh by itself. So with Dynamesh, you can see that's exactly what happens. So now each individual mesh is Dynamesh by itself. We can smooth them now a little bit, and we've just created some very cool looking teeth. Let's turn on the skull right now. Let's turn on the teeth as well. And as you can see, these teeth are gonna look way better. Let's jump to them, and I'm gonna use this move called Move Topology. The shortcut is VMT, and I'm gonna start moving them towards the like upper side of the jaw, kind of getting them where they're supposed to be. And again, the fact that they're not like perfectly symmetrical and stuff, that's actually helpful for the sort of effect that we're going for, right? Because they're like this very cartoonish looking teeth. So the only thing that I do want to do here is the fangs. So usually the front 4 teeth are like the small ones. Well, we have the big ones here, and then we have 2 secondary ones, and then the fangs, right? So here I'm actually gonna like push this like this fang forward. Here I am gonna press oh, we do have symmetry turned on. That's weird. So let's push this one. There we go. Yeah, we can leave some gaps in between some of the teeth. I think that's also gonna be quite nice, quite cool. And yeah, at this point it's just a matter of like traditional sculpting, right? Now let's go back to the original the skull. Let's push this volume out a little bit, and I just want to sculpt the little thing that holds the teeth, right? So we talked about this one before. It's just this little volume, and as you can see, when you have 2 subtools or 2 different subtools, they act as masks to each other. So this is kind of like masking out the other part of the subtool. There, nice. Let's go back here. I think it might not be a bad idea to separate the teeth a little bit more. And yeah, that looks cool. I think that looks pretty cool. So there we go. That looks very nice. And yeah, we've managed to create this very nice like stylized sculpt. One last thing that we can do is we can give this like a little bit more resolution, like the main shape. I mean, you can of course keep polishing this more and more. I'm gonna keep it like this for now. And I'm gonna break symmetry, and we can of course start adding like some lines, scratches, some little like indentations and stuff. Like I like to add some like a little bit of like hard surfacey. It's kind of like hard surfacey damage, right? There we go. To make this asymmetrical and make it look as nice and as cool as possible. We can even change the material right here. I'm using this matcap gray, but there's one matcap that's actually like skeleton, and looks interesting. I mean, it's not perfect, but it looks interesting. I'm gonna go back to the basic material. I think this is probably the nicest, easiest one to use. So yeah, this is it, guys. We've sculpted a skull in 30 minutes. 30 minutes of nice little work here, and we've created a nice stylized sculpt. Let me know in the comments if you want me to take this guy into Substance and texture it like with this sort of like hand painted style. That could be a very cool exercise, I think, and it's actually fairly simple. So yeah, this is it for now, guys. I hope you enjoy. I'm happy to have my mind cleared out a little bit so that I can focus on more cool 3D stuff for you guys. And yeah, that's it for now. I'll see you back on the next one. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. And I'll see you back on Friday. We're going to be back, again, as I mentioned, with the Lighthouse. We're probably going to have a full Lighthouse weekend this weekend because we really need to push that one and finish it real soon. So yeah, that's it, guys. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.